Okay, so this is Universe playing Tusk. I really hope he's position 4. I guess we'll figure out. Okay, so... Shoot, I misclicked. You'll notice you actually can shards level 1 for very small situations where basically you're going against heroes who can't disengage and you think tag team won't be that effective. Also, tag team got a very heavy level 1 nerf, so it's actually not that good anymore. Level 1, not nearly as good. It's a good tri-lane spell, but in dual lanes it's often not that good, especially against ranged heroes. So you notice he's against 2 ranged heroes, so shards is actually potentially a better option.
So is it just Tusk that gets the damage bonus, or is it other heroes around him?
Yeah, so it's illusions and heroes. When it first came out, funny thing, it worked on units as well, including Broodmother Spiderlings, which is funny.
Oh.
Yeah. You could burst someone for like 1,500 physical damage.
Oh man.
That got taken out of the game, believe it or not. But yeah, okay, so a big thing about shards is typically what I will say is if you see someone and you feel like you should shards, for the most part, you're going to want to wait like 1 or 2 seconds. You'll notice here, he doesn't instant cast it, right? I think a lot of players would have just instantly chucked it out. He kind of waits a second, and typically this basically what it will let you do. Actually, I think he makes a misplay here. But you kind of want to wait a second or two and force people into closed locations. Like, let's say he was chasing him here. This is a better example, because here it's actually an okay shards, but let's say he was here. I think a lot of players would have just immediately thrown it out, where it's their best bet to just like keep auto-attacking and then throw it out when they're in more of a closed area. It's the same thing for like Pudge Hook. And then the next important thing to do whenever you shards is attack move and basically try to block people's escape. So I think he actually plays this quite poorly, where basically once he hit him here, he should have been moving like this, right? It's very logical to do this. But Universe is bad. He doesn't want a TI or anything, so he didn't block him. But
he's new to position 4.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, come on. But yeah, so basically you want an attack move. Every time you shards, you should be looking like thinking, okay, what's their disengage route, and trying to block it with your actual hero. This will guarantee you like 2 or 3 extra auto attacks, which is a big deal.
Okay.
Oh god, what's going on? Okay. Worth. So this is like if typically have you go Orb? Sorry, I'm blanking out. Do you go Orb of Venom or do you go Stout Shield typically? Like, what's your item build to start?
Well, in the guide, the alchemy guide or whatever I threw on my thing, it said Orb. But
okay.
Orb kind of sucks now. I think I'd rather get a salve, honestly.
So basically, I've played with Save on a few teams, and there's nothing wrong with Orb, but he really likes that item. And it is good on melee heroes, allows you to get a lot of right clicks in. But I personally don't think Tusk is one of the heroes where this is necessary, because you have a slow and tag team, right? The spell slows for 75%. It's basically an Orb of Venom, and then you have an Ice Shards. Like, it's better that you can trade. And then the biggest mistake position 4s make will often be that they play like too passive in the lane, or they just don't understand what they're gonna do. So let's pay very close attention to like the general plays he makes. Okay, here. Okay, see how he blocks him? That's like proper, right? Did you see that? That's like so important. See how once he hit him, he backed towards like the escape?
Yeah.
That's like, it's so underrated. And then basically now, because of that, Drow has to run all the way through. See how many more right clicks that is? And like straight back.
You should do that one more time.
Yeah. So I'm gonna keep it slow. So basically, your shards want to put it in a spot where it's like reading the disengage, and then it will close them off in a direction. And then he right clicks, but he's not running into him when he right clicks. And then when Drow's about to get through, look where his clicks are, to the right.
Okay. Okay.
And it blocks him off. This will get you like 2 or 3 more right clicks in, and you notice like the creeps are hitting her. Letrak gets like 3 or 4 right clicks in, and this is all like already a super good start. No salve on the Drow. Yeah, so basically attack moving on Tusk is, if you don't attack move on Tusk, this hero sucks, like, period, because it just won't do enough. Here I think a lot of players would have committed. You often just want to chip. focus on getting denies. Denies as a position 4 player is your most important thing in the majority of lanes. It's very underrated, and it's very lane winning.
Yeah, I guess I don't like what I think about is like, because I play a lot of support. Like I'm usually gonna like buy 6 tangos, give 2 to my mid, so I'm gonna walk the lane with 4 tangos. If I'm a Tusk or any foot position, and I have
Really?
a Sal,
You're gonna give?
I trade with the.
Well, you probably shouldn't be giving tangos as a 4, to be honest. But
No. When I play, I'm saying as a support. So when I face a support as a 4 position,
yeah.
I'm gonna try to use that advantage.
I see what you're
just having
saying.
more regen than.
Yeah.
So I don't think about denies that much. I guess as a 4%. I guess I should. I mean, I try to get them when I can.
Yeah.
But...
So what you need to that's a good chart as well. But also something to consider is that it is better in lanes in which you can pressure the hard carry. Like in this lane in particular, let's go back and notice who he goes on in these lanes, or like what's his priority. Like after they get the first blood on the Rubik, if I like really skip through this, just like pay attention basically how he does his best to ignore the Rubik and put all of the, like he's not going to run at the Rubik, he hits the Drow, and then the Rubik comes, and he has an option coming up where right here he could go on either Drow or keep hitting the Rubik. And what does he put his priorities on? He might zone out the Rubik, but then when a situation with aggro comes in, they're like going on the Drow, because it doesn't really matter if you get the Rubik low in this lane, because Drow's going to get CS, and the only thing they have to accomplish in this lane, the Drow Rubik lane, is to get Drow 6. So basically, you want to focus on shutting down who's important, and this is like a big mistake that people make where the position 4 will just waste their time trading with the support when they could be zoning out the carry and ignoring them, especially if it's like a week 5. Heroes like AA or CM who are just going to like chill in the back anyway. I see so many 4s that are like, I can trade effectively with them, so I'm just going to run at them. But in reality, you're just wasting your time because the carry's probably just free farming. So the few things you want to consider are denies in the lane, attack moving, and okay, kind of a weird rotation.
Wow, that was a great rotation.
Yeah, pretty heads up. Do you know what he did there? That was so important. Like previous, not even during the gank, before the gank.
Well, he's out of regen and he had no health or mana, so he just suicided.
Yeah, that's the first big thing. If you're a position 4, do not run back to base. Don't run back to base. It wastes so much time. Not only that, what did he do after he killed himself? Right here. What's his next step? Look what he does. Goes back to base.
Looks at all the lanes.
Checks every lane. Maybe he doesn't check top, but he probably just sees top as like a lane he wouldn't want to go to. But he checks mid. A lot of supports, they're just like going back to bottom. He checks mid. He considers, is there a kill here? Is there not a kill here? You should check. You should basically check every single lane, even top. I think you could argue that he should have at least looked. It doesn't really matter, I guess, but point is, if you're in base and you're dead, you should be looking around as a 4 player. And now here he's gonna run. Okay, he could have ran top, but oh, yikes.
Feels bad.
Yeah, but now that he knows the Rubik rotated, he's gonna probably try to pressure this Drow a little bit. Okay, so he'll probably go on here. Notice doesn't instantly throw out shards. Like, this is like the biggest bane of Tusk and Pudge players. They see a hero they're gonna gank and they just like yeet their shards. Yeah. I'm telling you, like, you want to hold them for as long as possible. And then, like, finally, now that all the spells are thrown out, he guarantees to kill the shards.
Nice.
This works basically on... This applies to essentially every hero, even if they have engaged, disengaged, doesn't matter. If they have disengaged or no disengage, it doesn't make a difference, right? You want to typically hold your shards, unless, like, they're going to... Like, if they're already running away, sure. But if you're starting the gank, you want to do your best to, like, approach, even if you have snowball. You shouldn't just, like, immediately snowball in, typically. You want to approach... and then, like, get your shards off or snowball when you're in close range. And typically this secures a lot more right clicks. And it's kind of weird to say exactly why it works, but just trust me. It's like, basically it's Tusk. Throwing shards late is much more reliable and easier to land. Okay,
gotcha.
Now here, he gets Bounty Runes. That's pretty self-explanatory. Now that he has Orb of Venom. Okay, so he once again holding the shards though, right? Like, you notice, you basically... It's just so good to hold shards. Secures him the kill there because he didn't use them too early. So here he's just identifying that it's a kill. I mean, there's not much to say there. You just have to know your limits on the hero, and that's why it's important to spam heroes like Tusk, because they have very weird limits. Okay, oh, here he just... Once again, because he held, like, holding spells on Tusk, you notice how every single one of these engagements, he doesn't lead them with a spell, except for like that Drow Dive.
Yeah, I'm probably doing that totally wrong. I'm like spamming it. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, like enemy spells.
Click them.
Yeah, and Tusk is one of the hardest heroes to kill. But basically, in high MMR games, if you use Snowball or Shards right away, it's a very big indicator that either Tusk can die, or that he can't kill me anymore. Like, it's a hero that okay, sorry. The concept is based around, if you use your spells early, you're not a threat. If you don't, you are a threat. Like, even that Snowball, I don't know why. I didn't really like that, to be honest. Then he misses the Shards. Oof. Bad player. Okay, and see, like, now that he instantly used Snowball, he, like, can't get out. And see, that's why I didn't know that was going to happen, but I could tell you, like, it seems kind of early, right? Because once you commit Snowball, people know they can kill you. That's how Tusk works. Okay. Once again, he's paying attention to the lanes. This seems sketch. Okay. But, important part, he dies. What does he do? Looks around. Now, do not mistake this with the idea, okay, I died, should I go mid, right? Because in this game, it looks like it's working out for him. You have to look at it more like, is there kill potential there? And you should consider this even before the game starts, right? Game begins, you should say, okay, is there even a chance we kill mid this game? If there is, when you die, you should be really looking mid, like paying a lot of attention. Also, okay, like, why did he shards there? It's kind of weird.
I don't know. I was about to ask you that.
Yeah, that was just a waste, to be honest.
This guy's out of mana without clarity.
Yeah, that was not good, definitely. And then now he can't use it to kill the bounty, so typically you want to use as little as you can. And sorry, what was I going over? Yeah. So when he dies, you just need to consider, like, is there kills on mid? And then here, do you know that tag team works with your ult? Do you understand that works?
Oh. No, okay. It boosts your ult.
Yeah, like, if you don't, your ult does no damage. But if you do, it does, like, giga damage. That's why tag team is so important. Because in the past, Tusk couldn't really kill people, but now that tag team works with your ult, it does. You'll notice, like, how he approaches this. He snowballs, clicks tag team, and then punches. Look at that.
535. Wow.
Yeah, and that's 8 minutes in. Yeah. So, like, if you because I've seen a bunch of Tusk players recently, because I watched quite a bit of 3K and 4K games, and for some reason they punch and then turn on tag team, and it, like, confuses me to high hell, but I guess they just don't know. So I was like, okay, so I mean, if you don't know, now you know. It's very, very important. Boost your damage by a shit ton. Okay, we already watched this. So, ships out clarities. It's pretty good to do this. Basically, whenever you pass, like, the 6-7 minute mark, you should be considering two things. Like, do I need to ship out clarities to stay on the map? And should I have a smoke? Typically, you always want to buy a smoke. If there's 3 in stock, you should buy one. Also, this is a very good item build. You want to focus around stats. Notice tag team punch. This doesn't look good, but still. Good spell usage. Okay. Let's go more into the mid game. But I guess he thinks there might be a kill mid. I think he's hoping that the Storm's going to dive here. Basically, he's hovering around bottom mid because that's where the plays need to be made. He has to do two things. Protect his Lesh, which is not an option here. I don't know why he's using shards like this. It's actually not good. I don't like that he's doing that. It doesn't make any sense, really, because It does 60 damage, and it's just a waste of mana. And in addition, Shards is one of your better disengage. Like, you have two disengage spells, right? Snowball and Shards. So if you commit both for no good reason, you're kind of just like opening yourself up to get ganked.
This is how my games feel like. I don't know where to go.
Yeah, and sometimes this happens, but I believe he wins. Let me just double check. This game goes 50 minutes. All right, we're not gonna watch the whole thing, but what's important, basically, to be straightforward, like your first 10 minutes are what's really important, because then there's basically always things to do in the first 10 minutes.
Right.
What I'd say, your first priority should be trying to secure your offlane a good start, and then if you suicide to the tier 2, which you should be at some point, like, basically, if you never have to suicide to the tier 2, you're probably not playing aggressive enough. Now, when you approach the lane, you need to consider, is there kill potential? In this lane, Tusk, Leshrac, yes, you could probably identify it, right? Tusk, Leshrac, Drow, there's kill potential. If it was like a PA, there's still kill potential. Terrorblade, yeah, there's kill potential. Basically, when the game starts, you need to identify what lanes you can kill. If you don't, you're going to be lost in the first 10 minutes, and it's the most important 10 minutes of the game. So, understanding like what your opportunities in the game are it's just so important. And so many players don't do it, so they get lost. And that's why these first 10 minutes are so important. And typically, if you don't know what to do in like around the map, what do you think is a good option? Let's say it seems like there's no plays to be made. What's a logical good option?
Like so, like in like a say like kind of a passive lineup where they have like a drow lineup where they're they're jungling.
Yeah, let's say they're jungling and your team's jungling, which happens a lot. What should you do, or what's a good play? It could be more straightforward than you think.
Well, the worst thing to do is like jungle or maybe stack or something.
Yeah, well, jungling's dog shit. You don't want to jungle as dog.
I was gonna say that's like the last option. I was thinking like, if you have that smoke, maybe try to get your team to do a smoke play. If you think like one's alone or something.
Yeah, that's good. Or... Identifying like an isolated core, that's one option. But the other one, let's say your team will not smoke, they won't make plays, and nothing's happening. You should go farm a lane. Like, I see so many 4 players where they think their role is to kill, and then they fall behind. If you have ever watched Crit play, he will always be around the same level as his like offlaner and maybe even safe laner. Why? Because he understands, especially in the Soloqueue environment, if he is not scaling and he's the best player on his team, he's probably going to lose. Right? So in order to like reach high ranks as a support, you have to understand when you need to be greedy. Because sometimes people aren't going to do things. And instead of getting mad about it, you have to accept it and say, okay, I'm going to farm a lane. So like there, for instance, his team was jungling, Pango was wherever, he pushes in a lane. Basically, the idea of pushing in a lane is typically your best option when nothing is happening. It gets you farm, it gets you levels, and it creates map pressure. And not only that, it can also set up kills. So, I think once again his shards are too early, to be perfectly honest. Because now if he has them here, this is a much easier kill. Okay. Yeah, because he's not a Tusk player, obviously, but I don't think you want to throw out shards this early. You typically want to save them for when people are disengaging and not manning up, because they only last for 4 seconds now. So throwing them out like mid-fight isn't going to really trap anyone unless you're hitting some really good shards. It's better for when people are disengaging, or if you need to disengage. But now it seems like there might not be anything to do, so if I was to predict, he might try to go bottom and get XP. Or a fight breaks out, I guess. Not much to talk about here. Let's just look at how he casted his spells briefly.
Yeah, I kind of want to see how he used shards. So it's just kind of talking to you. You think like, if possible, use snowball more defensively than just like kind of initiating with it, because
yeah, it's a bad initiation spell for the most part. Here, he snowballs in here I don't even. You can tell it really doesn't do that much. It's typically better to save Snowball as like a disengage, like reset the fight spell. You can use it to initiate on heroes that have no disengage. Then it can be very effective. Like against this Drow, for instance, if they see him, it's quite good for him to snowball in. That's like basically the best way to use shards in these mid-game fights is to close off areas. Like his shards there. That should always be your objective. So how does this storm end up coming back? Oh, okay, I see. Probably didn't have to snowball there, but whatever. Yeah, you can notice, like, you always have to consider, like, if you ever do end up getting to a high rank, just like as a side note, people aren't necessarily gods. Like, they're beatable. They make these mistakes. Everyone makes still mistakes, even if they're a TI winner, so.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, even if you're watching a pro game, you should consider, like, question some things. For the most part, you want to look at it and be like, okay, this is probably correct. See, that's not correct. But, typically you want to look at what they're doing is correct, and then, like, if it seems questionable, you should ask someone, or just, like, ask me, and I'll give you my opinion. Because I could be wrong, too, you know, but, how do they win this game? Let's just move on, because it looks like this game's kind of just like a back and forth at this point.
No, that was very, very good.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just try to focus on that first 10 minutes, basically trying to work the like as a forward position, work the core, look for shard opportunities.
Yeah, hold them a little bit. Like, don't instantly throw them out. That's like, I see so many Tusks where they like, they see the core, they click snowball, and then they immediately, even before they hit them with the snowball, they chuck out the shards. Like, chill a bit, you know? People aren't about to blink dagger out 5 minutes in, you know? So.
Yeah. Do you, like, try to, like, I guess, make your move?
Always, yeah.
They would, like, win a last hit, you know, like, try to make your moves around their CS times,
yeah,
you know?
That's one of the best things to do. Like, if they're about to go for a last hit, that's when you walk up. Or you play around the trees and you try to get in melee range, because if you can get in melee range before using shards, you're going to get, like, 5-6 more right clicks off, because you're actually going to be able to close the gap and then use the body block trick. The body block trick. Basically, you hit them once and then you look to body block. You can hit them again after, but then you'll typically lose it if you hit them again. So you just want to hit them once, body block, close off their options, and then that should help you out a lot. And also the other note where the sequence of, if you're not having to deny to tier 2, you're probably not trading enough or like making things happen.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Once you do deny yourself to tier 2, you should check mid, check top, and see if there's good things to happen around the map. Because Tusk is one of the best safe lane gankers in the game. Like, basically, if you feel that your offlaner can solo, and there's a lot to be done top, or they need help, typically if there's skill potential, then you can rotate up there. I would say if you're you need to be at least level 3, I would say, to leave. You can go if you're level 2, but Tusk's spike is level 3, level 4.
Do you go, what, like 1-1-1?
Yeah, so he went 1-1-1 this game, and then 1-1-2. But you can, let's say your lane has a very good gap close, and you're against a hero like Drow, for instance, who can't run away. You can go 1-0-2. But I think he was ganking mid when he hit his 3, so you want to take Snowball to guarantee it. Kind of just like a feeling thing, honestly. You can go 1-0-2 or 1-1-1.
Okay, I got attack team, first spell, hold the shards. When you shard, body block if you can.
Yep.
Make trades around CS.
Yeah. Do get denies. Like, do get denies when they come up. 4 players just won't try to deny. Getting early denies, especially first wave and second wave, will guarantee that you hit 2 first. And a level 2 Tusk against level 1 cores typically has kill potential, because that's like his spike, right? And remember that you can take shards level 1 in some lanes, especially fighting for runes. It can be better, because tech team level 1 isn't as good as it used to, as the cooldown is now 9 seconds longer, which is quite bad. But yeah, now we can go over a position 5 game.
Okay.
I think that'd be good. Where did I pull this up? Also, I really recommend this site. Where is it?
Oh yeah, I took that one quite a bit. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, yeah. It's really good to just like watch these games. I wouldn't be surprised. Shadow Demon's been getting much more popular. I think the hero's really good. I played against it today. I lost. Sad. But his W is pretty nuts. That spell is bonkers.
Yeah.
It's just it has a weak laning stage, like, at least at certain points. So you kind of have to understand when your advantages are. Like a lot of players will spam their poison level 1, and then basically this prevents them from using it when they're level 3, or like when there's actually an opportunity to pressure. So let's see, Laposa. I don't want it to be. You play at 5, right? Because it can be a 5 or a 4.
Yeah, I play him as a 5 typically.
Okay. These are not. Roger's definitely a 4. Fenrir Demon. Let us hope. Okay, it looks like he's 5 this game. Yeah. Okay. 23-minute victory. Drow PL. Interesting. But looks like he crushes his lane, so this is definitely going to be good. Hopefully it's not just the carry doing well. Laposa, rank 11. Oh.
It's pretty high for a 5th position.
Yeah. He might not be a main. He might not main 5. Does he main 5? He might. You can get high as support. That's like a Dota misconception, but it can be harder. But it is definitely possible. Okay. Let's check its starting items first off. This is pretty good. Like, it's just important to have these type of items. You could go something like Clarities instead of the salves, but you kind of have to see if you're going to have to trade or not. And typically people try to use Shadow Poison too much, and basically you don't have to crush in the early levels with this hero. Basically, the reason why you're picking Shadow Demon is not necessarily to dumpster the laning stage, because that's just it's not what this hero does. It can do pretty well in some lanes, like if you get 5 stacks and all. But in a lot of situations, the reality is your hero doesn't trade that well. You have low movement speed, generally low movement speed. Your attack animation's terrible. Your attack range is bad, if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty low. 500. All right, it's not that low, but let's just pay attention to what he does, because he's against an edge, so this is pretty good. If you're ever against a solo offlaner, you should try to zone them off the wave. And that's like one of the situations where I think it's okay to use this E. But now I would imagine he might try to start pulling. No, okay. This is interesting. Okay, this is a really useful pull he's setting up here. Also, what you can do on Shadow Demon, which I'm going to guess he's going to do this game, is use all your mana in the early levels and then just go kill yourself to the tier 2. So he stacks the large camp. And the reason why this is good is you see the path he's making here?
Yeah.
It's really effective. It's like a nice way where you can stay in the lane and help, but also pull. So you eat these trees, you have your carry like cut this down, and you pull through here. And this is like, you could tell they also synergize that he stacks it and then he has his carry push out the lane, and they deny an entire wave. And this is very, very important. And as Shadow Demon, you want to put your priority on things like pulling, because as you can see, he can't really fully zone at the end. This is a solo lane as is, so in dual lanes it's often even harder. I mean, notice now that he can't zone at the offlaner that effectively anymore, he's just gonna pull, right? Pulling is so important. So typically what I would recommend is when you're playing Shadow Demon, you need to stack either the large camp or the small camp at 155. Doesn't matter which one. If it's the large camp, then maybe 154. Alright, looks like he decided he didn't want to pull. But you want to stack one of those camps basically so that you have the option to deny the wave. And not only that, it allows you to actually keep your XP up. They might be able to kill him here. Yeah. This is why the mango's good. nice. So yeah, pulling is just so important. So basically stack one of the camps at 155, and then what this does is typically your carries, even if they don't do it intentionally, will unintentionally push the lane, and then you can pull and make up for it. And not only that, it's just really good at getting XP for yourself, because this hero is so dominant with levels. Like, it's so scary when a Shadow Demon is a high level as a 5. It's basically like having another core in some games. Especially if you have the right carry matchup, like if they have a Morphling, Luna, or Terrorblade, any of those heroes, or a PL. It can get really, really scary. So basically, you want to put a lot of priority on getting levels. Oh, now he's going to go kill himself, so he runs out of... Is he not?
Yeah, I think he wants to catch a rune.
Looks like he's going to. Okay. Yep. So he kills himself.
God, it's like the same thing. He rotates mid after killing himself.
Yeah, Dota is like, people get so confused, but typically you don't have to do anything special to become like really good. You just have to understand what's important. So typically in the safe lane, what's important is you use your Shadow Demon, you use your Shadow Poison to zone people off the early waves, and then you focus on pulling, right? You can even use it to stack the camps. All right, like, see how he's putting such a priority on these like stacks? Stacking the camps guarantees that they're going to get denied. If you don't stack camps before you pull, typically they'll get intercepted or the lane will double up. Alright. You notice there's also a pattern here where... do you notice what he's doing here with the disruption and when he uses it?
He does like a couple feeler stacks.
Yeah. You basically never want to instantly disrupt, even if you feel like you're going to go for a kill. Unless you have some like support rotation. So basically, whenever he gets 3, that's his go time. 3 is like, okay, I can basically guarantee that I'm going to get the 4th and the 5th. Now, I'm a little bit surprised he didn't walk straight up, to be honest. That probably would have made his life a lot easier. Maybe he didn't want to get his clarity cancelled. I don't know. But,
yeah, probably.
And do you know that 5 is like the max?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, never go past 5. It's just a waste. Okay. Rotation gets dewarded. Whatever. And I wouldn't be surprised if he even tries to get the tome this game. He might not because he has a roaming Shaker, but Shaker's a high level. And Shadow Demon is a 5 that really likes to have levels, as I talked about. Like, we'll try to see how he keeps up in levels this game, or at least if he does try to keep up in levels. Even here, he really should be trying to get the levels in the lane. Okay, this actually shocks me that he's not just going to go farm bottom. What happened there? What, have a stick? Yeah, okay.
Does Oracle counter Shadow Demon?
Yes and no, because Oracle can't purge your ult, I believe. Yeah, Oracle can't purge your ult.
Purges your stacks, though, right?
Yeah, so it's good in the early game. It counters you in lane. Like, it's bad to lane against Oracle. The only thing it's good for is basically you can purge Oracle's heals. Like, anyone you put your demonic purge on, even if he ults someone, you can ult them, and then they can't get healed, essentially, which is really nice. And it goes both ways. I would say it's bad laning stage. It's pretty good mid game.
Okay.
And the only reason it would be good in the laning stage is you could set up a gank with disruption into like Torrent or Fisher or something like that. But I wouldn't want to lane against Oracle. That's for sure. To be honest, there I probably would have just farmed bottom. Him going top there is okay, but I don't know. Often I would say it's a lot safer to just like if your carry leaves the lane and you're unclear of what you should do, basically just farm the safe lane, because it's so important to just farm on this hero. This is a weird build. He's not even taking his W. I guess it's not amazing this game, but it's such a good spell. I've seen a lot of 5s where... Well, what build do you go? I want to ask first. What's your typical skill build?
Yeah, I try to get the W because it sets up with the Q so well. I don't see the point of the first Q unless like maybe you get an anti-mage or something and you want to like mana burn him. You might want to get a value point in the Q, but I try to max out the Shadow Poison.
Okay.
First and foremost. So I'd probably go like 1-1-3-1. You know.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Typically, you want to be 1-0-1 at level 2, and then take the second point in Shadow Poison. That's the value point. But then, after that, what I've seen a few Shadow Demons do, if I could find the games, I have a few Shadow 5s, is that they max out Soulcaster after they basically go 1-0-2, and then they go 1-4-2. Like, they just don't touch. Only because this is a spell that's bad in the early game. Like, it just doesn't do that much in the early game, but it's very good in the like mid-late game. So they start maxing it out afterwards to help like win mid-game fights. But I guess he feels like in this game he wants his E. I guess it's hard to use on some of these heroes. I believe Void can time walk it off, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. It's pretty hard to hit Storm with it. Guess there's some justification, but at the same time, these heroes aren't even... It's not like Shadow Poison's not that good against some of these heroes. We'll have to see why it's justified.
Maybe that was good against the what do you call it?
Enchantress?
Their offlaner. Yeah.
It is, to be fair. But yeah, whenever you're picking Shadow Demon 5, I would avoid picking this hero with any sort of any sort of weak laner. You basically want a hero like PL or Troll that can sustain the lane them by themselves. If your lane's going to get run at, this hero's really bad for the most part. And the best thing you can do in those situations is spam pull. So, looks like he doesn't get Tomir. This is one of the best things you can do as Shadow Demon, where you're not at your like peak strength, and you just go like split push a wave. So this is where a lot of supports don't make this play, where they just like go run around and try to keep helping their team. But you notice he pushes out mid. Your hero is very good at defending out towers. Now no one's top. What does he do? He runs top. Not only that, it sets up for a kill. Pretty good, right? And running to lanes to farm, it just allows you to scale and like win games as a solo queue player. You know what I mean? Like this playstyle of like going to farm the open lanes, while your team might slightly lose one fight or may not perfectly go in their way, it allows you to scale and be a better mid game hero as well. You kind of need items in this game, or else he's just gonna get jumped. So preferably he wants to have like a wand and some levels so that he's pretty tanky. Once again, no one's farming mid, pushes out mid. D-wards are very important. If you can get them, then what does he do? Once again, like this is not complicated. It's just like he doesn't know what to do. He focuses on warding. If there's an open lane, he goes to ward because his team's not clearly not fighting right now. Like
yeah, I'm seeing the pattern too. Yeah,
it's like if your team is fighting, sure you walk over. Like he's willing to help, but at the same time, when nothing's happening, he's looking for the open lane to guarantee that he's gonna scale. Oh, that's not good. I can tell you what hero Oracle does counter. It's Necro. That is like one of the hardest counters in the game. By far. Everything that Oracle does is a counter to Necro. It's so bad. Look at it. Here, you could look. He's like probably going to go try to push out mid. Now, he might not want to go top out of fear of dying, but... So you basically always want to run to the lane that you feel like you can defend, especially if you think they can't dive you. A lot of pressure on, a lot of focus on sentry wards, guaranteeing that they can't go on his PL. Because I think how they feel this game, if you look at it, what do you think is the winning condition if you were to look at this game?
Get to late game, you got a Drow PL.
Yeah,
you can line up. They're more like a, Storm just wants to jump on you. And at some point, PL becomes unkillable.
Exactly. That's exactly what I think I was going to say. So, you win this game when Void can't kill PL in a chrono. Or Storm can't kill your supports. It's like one of those two things. Either your supports get tanky enough where Storm can't go in them, or PL just literally can't die. Because if PL can just run in, then their spells just don't matter. Because Oracle won't be able to get anything off properly. Void can't hit a proper chrono. It's very easy to position around fights when you have like a Giga carry to just run at people. So here, you notice he literally buys 3 smokes. You don't have to do that, but buying smokes is good if you don't buy smokes. And you notice he's level 9, which is pretty decent. It's not high, but it's decent. That was interesting. Oh,
No,
looks like Gench is done. All right, they're done.
And they're done.
They're
okay.
done. Yeah, so basically, there's like a few key tenets that people will miss out, and they'll look at this game, they'll be like, "How come my team doesn't carry me?" Well, he set his team up for a very simple game. I mean, for a few things, he zoned the Ench in the early levels, right? He pushes her off the wave, which guarantees that PL can get like far enough up where he can solo lane, and then after that, he stacks the large camp, sets up for the pull, right? It's not like a last minute decision. You notice, like, whenever you watch a high MMR player, the reason why often they'll actually look slower, like someone like Fly, they'll look slow when they're laning, it's because it's very methodical. Like, you know, like, we look at this first minute, he eats that tango. Like, he could have eaten any tango, right, to regen. Which one does he eat? The one to pull. Like, that's,
right.
It's so important, but it's methodical, and that's why he's a rank 11 support player, because if you don't do things like that, it's very hard to carry as a support, but if you make everything methodical, the game becomes very clear. So he pulls, then PL pushes out the lane. Actually, it's pushing naturally. And then this is so good. This is so good. If you can ever deny a full wave without any contestment, you should feel good. Like, you should feel like you're winning the lane most of the time. Look how much XP he gets off this too. Like, this is without sapping too much from PL. Ench 2, PL's 3.25, and he's like almost 3. You know how good that is against a hero like Ench?
Yeah.
Like, that's
Feel bad. Feel bad for the Ench.
exactly. Like, this is so methodical, and this way it doesn't look fast, right? It's not like next level Shadow Poison. You know, it's just like he pulls, he sets up for the pull, lane pushes, he pulls. Gets bounty runes, uses all of his mana, kills himself. Goes back to base, checks the lanes. I actually don't really fully understand why they thought this was a good idea. I guess because they thought Pudge was coming. Doesn't really look that good, to be honest. But whatever, he gets a ward. Why is this ward important? I think you can answer.
For the rotations for Pudge to the mid.
Yeah,
and bottom. And bottom.
And bottom, and it's nighttime. You don't have to get out wards until it's nighttime, and often it might even feel hard. So that's why it's really good for him to deny himself there, because it makes it very like straightforward, right? He's gonna TP somewhere, can TP mid and immediately walk bottom. He doesn't go top because in solo queue it's near impossible to communicate to your teammates that they should take the wards of the courier. So like, don't even bother. Just like place them on your side. You notice there's none going top. It doesn't really matter that much. Puts his focus on what's like his lanes. Now here, I don't remember what he does, but he should probably pull. So maybe he does that. Oh no, they gank him. Right. Okay. Oh, but he pulls. Yeah. So basically, like, whenever the lane is pushed up like this, you set up for a stack, and this is so much levels, and this is kind of how you stay in the game. Stacking camps as Shadow Demon is important because you can't dominate people in lane. So how you stay in the game and keep your hero relevant is by guaranteeing that you're getting levels, because that's what this hero's good at. Like fighting mid game with levels, not like crushing lanes, and that's the mistake people make. They like try to play like there's some Bane or something.
His warding's so good too.
Yeah, it is. He gets dewarded, but his D-wards are fantastic this game. It's mainly because he's not greedy. Like, he's greedy in terms of levels, which is important to note. Like, he keeps himself in the game in levels, but when it comes to items, he's the farthest thing from greedy. He buys a lot of clarities, which is important to note. A lot of players don't buy clarities,
Right.
Which is good. Okay, yeah, I mean, this dewarding is like really good, but he basically understands what they want to do this game. He identifies, okay, they're gonna gank, they're gonna try to pressure my drow, because any good player will know this triangle on whatever side it is drow's home. Drow Ranger will never leave that triangle. Like, if you ever want to gank a drow, you go to the triangle, basically. So he understands, in order to guarantee that they can't do that, he needs to put a vision around it, so he gets down that ward. He puts the sentry here. Why is the sentry important? What does it do? it unblocks the ancient camp, because good players 90% of games against the Drow will block the ancient camp, because that is what Drow cares about. So like, it's not like this is some next level. He just kind of understands what people want to do, and so you always need to be thinking like, what is important in this game? There's two things. It's Drow being able to farm the tri-camp, me keeping my levels up. How do you keep your levels up? You push out lanes, right? Drow's jungling, PL's doing whatever he's doing. I can't tell. So he pushes out mid. His Shaker's farming, Shadow Demon's farming mid, and they're scaling. Because sometimes you just can't make plays, and without communication, it feels impossible, right? Like, sometimes it just genuinely feels impossible to do anything. So, you just farm. It can be that straightforward. I don't know how he's this good. He has map hacks on, for sure. But he understands what they want to do, and that's basically why he's like, they need to do two things to win, like the enemy team. They have to pressure Drow, pressure PL, because the other heroes matter, but if they don't shut down the PL, they're going to lose late game. If they don't shut down Drow, they're definitely going to lose late game. Basically, they lose late game. And, sorry, one more point. What is the best way to ensure that late games comes? Like what's the best play in Dota to draw games?
Like if they're like pushing us 4 or 5, push other lanes.
Exactly. Or even like sacrifice yourself to defend the tower by cutting the wave. Maybe you wouldn't do that as a 5. You could if you're like Nature's Prophet, but yeah, you split push, you push in the waves, and you drag the creep wave off towers. So you notice in this game, like, tier 1s don't fall, and that's purely because like whenever they want to set up for a tier 1, even in this game, this looks like a psychopath play. How is this good? Like, why is this even relatively an option? Why would a rank 11 player make a play like this? Because he's just stalling. Like, who cares that he dies here? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he's level 6. Drow's in the triangle. PL's pushing a lane.
Yeah, like,
oh, Necro's down there for some reason. Just said Necro stay top.
He could be top. Yeah, he couldn't. He doesn't have to be bottom. But the point is, like, he's wasting their time now. You don't have to kill yourself for towers, but basically his job this game is to get levels. So you push out lanes, even if it's gonna kill you, he'll get levels, right? Like, and not only that, he dies. He feeds like what, 100 gold? Whoop-de-doo, 200 gold. Like. Oh my god, there's this bug where I can't. He feeds 200 gold, but now he's level 6.5, which is not that high. Like, he could be higher, but he pings mid, right? Why is this so important? He's keeping mid tower alive. Because he understands if this game needs to go late, he needs to save towers. Right? Because towers ensure that the games go late.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good with just 1 tower down.
Considering that their team comp is this greedy, Drow,
Yeah,
Shaker, Necro.
Drow hasn't seen the lane in like 10 minutes.
No. If we look at this guy, this guy is like more AFK than you could ever think.
Let's happen for a Drow, a triple stack ancient camp.
Oh yeah. I think this is where he dies. Yeah. And why is he allowed to do this? Like, why isn't their whole map getting pressured in? Like, why aren't they getting butt fucked for this Drow just jungling for 20 minutes? It's purely because
they every time they put vision there, they get dewarded, and so they don't know if they're gonna walk uphill into 3 or 4 heroes. He's done such a great job with the vision control.
Yeah, this is like fantastic support play. Like, he's controlling what's important. He defends his Drow by dewarding, and then what does he do? He pushes out lanes and does thing away from the Drow. He goes away from the Drow. If he constantly stands next to the Drow, 2 things are gonna happen. He's gonna stay level 4 for 20 minutes, and people are gonna run to him. Because like, so many people make this misconception that in order to defend their hard carry, they need to just sit behind them the whole game. The best thing you can do is run as far away as you can from your hard carry if you want to defend them. Like, you deward their camp, you ward for them, and then you leave. You go as far away as you can. And then this is what happens. Like, I mean, they were pushing anyway, but it's like, okay, we'll see. The Drow sees them. That's really good warding. He places wards in the area. Alright. We'll go back to Shadow Demon, but once again, like, right, he's keeping these towers alive because he understands if they take this tier 1 tower, what is very easy for them, what is the logical play that they can make once they take this tier 1?
Enter probably the dead lane a little easier. You know, they can go play bottom a little easier.
It's so much easier to gank the jungle when the tier 1's not up, because why? You can smoke through here, you can smoke through here. If Drow's not here, you can run through very easily. You can smoke all the way through here. You have like 5 more angles. Where if this tier 1's up, their only option is to run up this hill, or run up this hill, which he has warded. Or like run through here and like gank through the tier 1 and into the jungle, which he also has warded. So basically he's like covering the angles and then defending. He covers his angles with wards and then defends the tier 1 tower, because that guarantees that they can't like smoke through with the Pudge or the Void and catch the Drow. Once again, making sure that they're not in the jungle. Then once again, defense mid. Peel gets it so he can leave. Like, it's not like he's going to take the farm from his carry. Stacks Ancients. And in some games, you need to consider as a position 5, when would you want to put up more aggressive vision? Because his vision this game is very defensive, right? And what is the reason for that? We've kind of talked about it, but what is the reason? Because you look at his wards, it's like a line right here.
Yeah, I guess if they like show off map a lot, you probably want to catch them. I don't know.
It's because what is their win condition that we talked about?
Just stalling the game.
Yeah, it's just late game PL Drow. They don't have to make any plays, right? They don't have to do anything. They don't have to do shit. They just have to wait. And so he identifies this and protects the jungle. And then constantly, like, that's why his D wards are so jungle focused. But let's say you have a Leshrac and some like snowballing pushing heroes, then where do you think his wards would be? Like, if they need to pressure the map?
Right, in their jungle.
Yeah,
you know,
he'd probably throw one on the
yeah.
he'd throw one on this hill if they're gonna push the tier 2. He would throw one if they need to push the tier 1. He'd probably throw one on the shrine, maybe behind the tower. If they need to Rosh, he would try to get one here, get one here. You know what I mean? Like, it's all, your ward should be, you should identify as a position 5, what is our win condition, and then ward to accomplish that. And as Shadow Demon, if you need to stall the game, you push out waves. If you need to be aggressive, you run to that lane and try to push it out and set up kills there. Shadow Demon's good at pushing waves from far away because he can just stay in trees and do it, right? So you should kind of abuse that, and that's why you buy clarities. And in addition, it's so important to do that on Shadow Demon purely because you want to scale with levels, right? You just need, this hero needs levels. Did Storm break his items? He did.
Oh, GG.
It's a good Storm item. I don't know what this guy's talking about.
Blink. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. How that's so efficient. Okay. But hopefully that was useful. What time is it?
Yeah, that was very good. Thanks, Speed. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I mean, we could do. Is there any like last questions or anything? Because we started like slightly late.
No, that's fine. My Dota crashes. Do you know what maybe causing that?
Crashes?
With, like, yeah, with the last patch, the last couple patches, it started doing it. Like, it's just like the game minimizes and stops. So I'm on DirectX. I was on DirectX 9. I switched to 11. What are you on? You're on 9.
How do you check? Oh, this?
You're right there. Yeah.
I don't even know what this is. Okay.
And then I did like an auto. You do like on the boot prop. You can do, or you put in your dash console. You can say dash auto config or something.
Okay.
Try that. It has worked. I don't know if you have any thoughts. If you heard anyone having that issue.
You have an SSD, right? I would definitely recommend getting an SSD if you don't have one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
I'll probably check it to make sure. I also checked Steam for I have no corrupt files.
Yeah.
So I'm okay.
It's probably just more of a maybe your computer's slowing down. I would try cleaning it if you haven't. I'm not really much of an IT guy, to be perfectly honest, but
Okay.
CC Cleaner's usually pretty good if you want to give that a run.
Yeah, I've used that in the past. I was trying to get on down.
Yeah.
That's all I got, man. I'm a cheap, having fun and grinding a little bit.
Yeah, try it out.
I'm doing well with the support.
Yeah, it's one of those roles where it's gonna take you like 10, 20 games to actually start getting down this like natural flow of stacking and zoning. But basically, just try to put your main priority in the lane to stacking and pulling. Like that's the best thing you can do. And then after that, just like guaranteeing that your towers stay up if you have a very greedy team comp. That's like kind of your. It's self-explanatory. I mean, it's straightforward, but it's very hard to get into the flow with it.
Cool, man. Thanks for the. I learned a lot. I took notes while we're talking here.
Great. I'm recording this, so I can send you that over sometime. I'll upload it to YouTube and send you a link.
Perfect.
Okay, great. See you, man.
All right, see ya. Bye.
Peace.